To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah.
It's the worst thing. Shocking, and everyone's really devastated. My children are devastated. Just everyone I know. There really aren't words.
Hello, everyone. Today we examine one of the most shocking events of recent times: the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old conservative activist, author, and media personality, was shot and killed during a public event at Utah Valley University, UVU, in Orem, Utah. The date of the attack was September 10, 2025. Kirk was 31 years old at the time of his death. Multiple witnesses, including a Marine vet, say the bullet ripped his internal carotid artery, a medically fatal hit. Many veterans online agree this was a professional sniper-level shot, not random luck. Shooter may have used the microphone reflection notch lowering as a timing signal. Some believe it was a long-range bolt-action rifle, showing patience and skill. Shooter fired once and escaped undetected, matching a trained hitman style. Just days earlier, Kirk referenced a Ukrainian girl stabbed in the neck, then he was shot in the neck himself. At the same time, a Colorado school shooting killed 3 students, overshadowed by Kirk's killing. His final words included gang violence, and then he became a victim of gun violence. The attack resulted in an immediate campus lockdown and temporary suspension of classes at UVU. He was speaking under his signature Prove Me Wrong table as part of TPUSA's American Comeback Tour. Kirk was literally answering a question about gun violence and mass shootings right before being shot. More than 3,000 people were at the event. Big crowd, public setting, lots of potential exposure. Taking down a 31-year-old activist says, "We're not just targeting leaders, we'll kill the future voices too." This wasn't just any conservative. Kirk built his brand on confronting left-wing students. He was most exposed in hostile environments. Videos of the shooting were removed almost instantly from platforms, raising suspicion about information control. Organizers of upcoming campus events across the country are reconsidering whether it's even safe to let controversial figures speak. The shot was fired from a long distance, from a building rooftop, the Losey Center, about 200 yards, approximately 180 to 200 meters, away. The killer was wearing all-black tactical gear, masked like Antifa-style protesters or tactical extremists. Interpretation differs, but symbolism is there. He was hit in the neck by a single shot. It wasn't a spray. It wasn't an accident. Authorities have called this a political assassination. Utah's Governor Spencer Cox used that term. Just weeks earlier, Trump survived an assassination attempt. Kirk's killing looks like a continuation of political targeting. But while the facts are emerging fast, one big question remains. Why Charlie Kirk? What motive pushed someone to plan this kill? And do the facts point to something deeper, something a lot of people are not ready to admit? If this was a planned political assassination, then its purpose might be not just to kill one person, but to send a message: intimidation, fear, suppression of voices. Assassinating him was a symbolic strike at the next generation of conservatives. Many outlets report the what, but avoid discussing the why, possibly out of fear of inflaming division. In a polarized environment, such acts can escalate divisions, rally one side, or pressure people to stay silent. Sometimes violent acts gain publicity. Killing a public figure during an event guarantees massive media coverage. Could the shooter have wanted infamy, attention, or to become a symbol? Possibly yes. By assaulting a figure so visible, especially in a setting designed for debate, the attacker may have wanted to degrade the image of free speech or provoke reaction. Admitting a motive along political lines means recognizing that political violence is deeply embedded in society. Many people prefer to label this as the act of a lone madman rather than as a symptom of political polarization. But if you accept that motive was political, it forces accountability for rhetoric, for security, for how we treat ideological opponents. Politicians on all sides may avoid acknowledging that political discourse has turned dangerous because it implicates themselves or their supporters. But what makes this case different? Precision plus planning. Single shot at long distance. That is not spontaneous. That is an execution-style attack. Whoever did this planned. Location, time, outfit. This suggests more than anger. Motive plus risk plus courage plus career. Reports describe the suspected shooter as wearing all-black tactical gear. Law enforcement initially detained a person of interest, then later released that person after interrogation. Reports say the shooting happened roughly 20 minutes into the event, according to dispatch audio and eyewitness timelines. Authorities said there was no immediate evidence of a second shooter or organized larger group involvement, as of initial reports. Some right-wing groups portrayed Kirk's death as evidence of rising left-wing violence. This framing spread quickly online. So, what is the real reason nobody wants to admit? It's that this assassination likely represents a turning point, not just the killing of a conservative activist, but the moment when political discourse in America may have crossed into outright lethal danger. If someone killed Charlie Kirk because of his ideology, because of what he said, because he represented a movement many deeply feared, then this is not isolated. It's a part of a trend. Political polarization plus rhetoric plus public anger equals a boiling pot. Most will want to believe this was a one-off, done by a disturbed individual, not tied to any group. But given the way it was carried out, who he was and what he was saying, the evidence is pushing us toward the uncomfortable truth that the political divide is no longer just words. It's real and deadly. If we can't admit that, we can't address what allowed this to happen. Hate speech, dehumanizing opponents, polarization. We can't change security around public events. We can't protect free speech. Charlie Kirk's assassination was not only the killing of one man, but a signal that American politics has entered a new and deadly phase. For years, people warned that the non-stop fighting between the left and the right, the name-calling, the demonizing of opponents, and the anger being stirred up daily on TV and social media could one day spill into real violence. People are calling it haunting, as if the story was written before it even happened. The way the shooting was carried out is another reason so many believe this was no random act. Eyewitnesses with military and law enforcement backgrounds noticed immediately that the shot was precise. That is not something an untrained person can pull off in the middle of a loud, crowded event. When looking at the wider picture, it becomes harder to call this an isolated tragedy. In just the past few months, America has seen a string of violent events that are political in nature. There was the killing of Democrat legislator Melissa Hortman and her husband in Minnesota only 3 months ago. Many online have connected these dots and believe the country is reaching a point where political violence is not rare but regular. They fear this is only the beginning of a larger trend. On top of that, many noticed how online platforms allowed celebrations of Kirk's death from left-wing voices with little condemnation. For people on the right, that silence is proof of a double standard. If the victim had been a liberal speaker, the outrage would have been endless. Even more controversial are the quotes from Charlie Kirk himself that are now being shared widely. People are pointing to old remarks where he dismissed the idea of empathy, or where he argued that school shootings were a price that had to be paid for freedom. He had once said that gun deaths were worth it if that meant Americans could keep the Second Amendment. Critics are throwing these words back at him, saying his own philosophy came full circle in the most tragic way possible. Whether that is fair or not, it has divided the internet. Some feel no sympathy because of his past comments, while others argue that no one deserves to die like this no matter what they have said. There is also the deeper issue of free speech. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You are only telling the world that you fear what he is saying. That is how many people are seeing this assassination, as an attempt to silence not just Kirk, but the movement he represented. If activists, politicians, or even students at debates now fear that speaking unpopular opinions might cost them their lives, then the foundation of free speech is under threat. It does not take laws to kill free speech. It only takes fear. And fear is exactly what grows when assassinations become part of political life.